All right, starting with the top story, China's President Xi Jinping has called on Vietnam to oppose unilateral bullying and defend global free trade. His remarks came during a visit to Hanoi, part of a tour across Southeast Asia. Xi's message was a direct challenge to the growing trade tensions with the United States. While his visit was planned months ago, it takes on new significance as the US-China trade war intensifies. Last week, US President Donald Trump accused the Chinese leader of trying to screw the US. In meetings with the Vietnamese leaders, Trump also questioned the purpose of Xi's talks in Hanoi, stating it was an attempt to hurt the United States. During the trip, China and Vietnam signed 45 agreements covering everything from supply chains to joint maritime patrols. Xi's message was clear. China aims to stand as a stable force in a world divided by trade wars. Ross Feingold, political risk analyst, is joining us on the broadcast to talk more about this. Ross, always a pleasure to have you. Well, this seems to be escalating to a point where it is going to be pinching the Americans as well. You know, the Boeing orders that have been cancelled at this point in time are worth billions of dollars, and this is obviously going to put a jolt in the trade as well as the supply chains that both these countries have so very much enjoyed over the last few decades.
Certainly, Vietnam is looking for what comes next. Do they stand with the United States, or do they stand with China, or they look to be in the middle? For the most part, they look to be in the middle. So we often think of Vietnam as having the sovereignty disputes in the South China Sea, and that's a very it's a big issue with a lot of high tensions between Vietnam and China over disputed sovereignty in the South China Sea. But at the same time, we also see a high willingness of Vietnam to engage with China, to trade with China, to welcome Chinese investment in Vietnam. And now China has the added advantage of saying we're the country promoting the flow of people, the flow of capital, and the flow of goods. So it's a very interesting time for Xi Jinping to be visiting Vietnam. But we see by Vietnam's actions, and if actions speak louder than words, then Vietnam is still seeking to have a strong relationship with China, notwithstanding the sovereignty disputes.
Where do you think this is leading to? Obviously, now Donald Trump is not only talking about tariffs, he's not talking about percentages, he's directly targeting Xi Jinping. This is more so becoming personal in nature. How do you think this is likely to play out? Because, there is a certain point beyond which, you should not speculate about the other country or party. In fact, this has gone beyond that point.
We'll see how this affects other issues that are on the U.S.-China bilateral agenda. You have to keep in mind that bilateral agenda is extraordinarily lengthy, even though between the Biden administration and the Trump administration, that agenda has and will undergo some change. The most obvious example is when the Biden administration engaged with China, when Biden and Xi Jinping either met or had a teleconference or video conference. One issue that was important to the Biden administration was climate change. That's not going to be an important issue to the Trump administration, but cooperation on ending the shipment of fentanyl precursors to Mexico was an important issue for the Biden administration, as it is for the Trump administration. So there are a number of issues that China will probably not be eager to talk to the United States about as long as there are tensions in the trade relationship. So it's kind of hard to compartmentalize the trade issues from all those many other issues that are on the bilateral agenda. And perhaps that's why there's been a delay in having a Xi-Trump phone call or potentially setting up a visit by one or the other to the other's country.
Ross, always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.